Good evening. My name is Rashida Stallings, and today we are going to be talking about choosing a software development process, what to expect. We will be talking about the 6 phases of the waterfall system, the pros and cons of buying and building software, DevOps support, agile system development processes, and the project management system of my choice. What is the waterfall system? Is a project that is divided into several phases using the waterfall project management technique. Only once the prior phase is done with to, is done and complete does the subsequent phase begin. Meaning there is a step-by-step process with creating the software. You cannot go forward or backwards. Like you really have to start step. You have to do it like within a step-by-step guide. The 6 phases of the waterfall system is requirements, analysis, design, coding, testing, and acceptance. Okay. For the first phase, the requirements phase, in order to ensure a successful project, the team has to gather as much information as they can. They also decide on who works on what and provide a guide of how each part of the process is going to proceed and provide a proper timeline for each stage of the process. So in the beginning stages, they'll say, okay, well, in this particular process, you can only work for about maybe a couple days, as opposed to maybe something else that might give you another longer time span. For the design phase or the analysis phase, the project team outlines the hardware it will be using, as well as other specifics like the user interface and programming languages. Basically, they get to show that the team will come together and decide on which software tools will they be able to use to create this type of system. There are 2 different kinds. There's the high level. That's when the group decides how the program will function and how the people who will be using it will access the data or the information. During the low level process, the team mainly focuses on the more specific parts of the software. Specific parts as in, like, for example, like instead of looking at Microsoft Word as an entire piece of software, they'll just focus on Microsoft Word on one day, Outlook the next day, PowerPoint, and so on and so forth. The third would be the implementation, and that's when everything is put into action. It would be based on the combined processes of step 1 and step 2. So it'll be combined of the requirements phase and the analysis phase. And then for the testing, at this point, the development team turns the project over to the quality control testing group. And within the QA, the quality assurance team, they kind of look for any faults or programs that need to be corrected. They also make sure there's any bugs. So they're the first initial users to test out this system. So if they find out that there's any type of problems and anything of that nature, they will let the head honcho of the team know, like, what they found while they were trying to use the system. For the fifth process is the deployment. It's basically once the QA team kind of goes through and fixes the bugs and the errors, and they go back starting from the very beginning of the waterfall system. And again, you have to go within order. So you have to go back to the very beginning, figure out once the QA team figure out the issues and the bugs and the errors, it goes all the way back to the top, and then they go back in a sequential order. But after that happens, they go ahead and send it out to the final user, which would be the vendors. It could be the employees, anybody within, other than the main team would be the ones to get the system. And finally, the maintenance phase. The maintenance phase is basically after it's given to the main users, such as employees, vendors, or, anything of that nature. they get feedback. So they collect a lot of data within like the first rollout of the system. And within that, they fix any type of bugs or issues on that aspect. Because sometimes within the testing process, everything is not shown. Sometimes there are short-term issues, which is probably what happens in the testing phase, versus long-term issues, which is when it gets to the final users and they go ahead and they'll say, okay, well, this is what I'm deciding it. After like 2 months of usage, this is what's going on. Buying software. There are different pros and cons to buying software. Most people feel like buying software is a faster and cheaper route. There's less upkeep. It's already tested, therefore it already went through their own step-by-step process. If the software is proper usage, is based on a need now basis. Like for example, if an organization is just rolling out and they want to get the ball rolling, they would choose a software that's already created. It is outside on-demand support, so you won't have to worry about creating a team within the organization to iron out the kinks, errors, and bugs. So there's like other people that you can actually reach out to. And there's always going to be new features. The vendors will, the owners of the software that is bought will constantly provide new features and improving their systems, and the company will not even have to lift the finger. It all comes from the vendor that the software came from. The cons of buying software, though, is there's limited customization. Like you get the software as is. There's nothing that you can kind of take out or put in. It's something you have to delegate with the vendor and see if it's okay with them. And a lot of times it is very costly to buy the software. Building the software, there's unlimited control, and you can actually have it geared toward the uniqueness of your business. If there's certain things that you want or certain things that you don't need, you can go ahead and take it out or put it in, like you could, it's up to the discretion of the team and the organization. The cons of building software, though, it is very costly. It is also time consuming. So more an organization that's more probably already a little bit more established than somebody that is new will probably use building software process, because they can use the old software while they're creating a new one. The ongoing support costs, there's pros and cons to everything. Although there is outside support, the ongoing support within building the software, you have to create another team within the company to help with that, and they would have to be on demand at times, probably outside of business hour times. And the upgrades and enhancement is also pretty costly as well. DevOps versus Agile systems. DevOps is a method of integrating the teams in charge of development and operations, whereas an Agile system strategy that is emphasizes on collaboration, customer input, and quick, short releases. The DevOps focuses on testing and delivery, and the Agile system kind of focuses on constant changes. So the DevOps is a little bit more stable and to the point. DevOps also requires a large team, whereas Agile kind of requires like a small team. The target of the DevOps is to end business solutions, and whereas the Agile is more based on software development. And finally, DevOps is more operational in business, and the Agile system is more functional and non-functional readiness. So, for my decision for the project management, I have opted for the waterfall system development process. It offers a step-by-step procedure for myself and the work I've done in the past, and now can be used throughout any corporation. I'd rather create the company's software within the waterfall system, although I have mentioned cons of like being timely and costly, but I feel as though it's really important to understand that you want to make sure that the software is geared primarily to the organization's needs and what needs to be done. You can customize however you want it to go. You can make sure that each employee and each vendor can access your systems, and also have any access to software that our vendors might be utilizing. Thank you so much for taking the time out to listen to my presentation. These are my prefaces.